The heavy scent of men's cologne and cigarette smoke clung to the air of the upscale lounge where I worked, wrapping around me like a suffocating veil. My feet ached inside the stiff black pumps I was required to wear, and the tight skirt digging into my waist made every step feel like punishment. Balancing 3 plates of overpriced seafood on my forearm, I forced my lips into a smile that didn't reach my eyes. 6 months at La Maison, and I still wasn't used to the uniform, or the way certain customers looked at me like I was something to be consumed. "Table 7 wants another bottle," my floor manager hissed as he brushed past, his sharp eyes narrowing at my momentary pause to catch my breath. I nodded quickly, heart pounding against my ribs. 6 more hours. 6 more hours until I could pick up Nia from my neighbor's apartment. 6 more hours until I could hold my 4-year-old daughter, burying my face in the strawberry-scented curls of her hair, and forget for a moment the suffocating mix of perfume, liquor, and desperation that filled this place. The lounge buzzed with Friday night energy, laughter, clinking glasses, murmured deals whispered over bourbon. "Please like, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from." A woman with diamonds big as marbles lifted a lacquered finger. "This salmon is dry," she announced, loud enough for half the room to hear. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, lifting the untouched plate, wondering if it was really dry or if she enjoyed the little thrill of sending things back. The door swung wide, letting in a breath of cold, and the chill ran straight down my spine. I looked up and froze.
Darren.
My ex-husband stood in the entry, smooth as ever in a slate suit with one hand in his pocket, chatting up the hostess like he owned the place. My grip faltered. The plate wobbled. He hadn't seen me yet. Panic surged, sour and hot. Not here. Not in this skirt, these shoes, this life I was rebuilding one tip at a time while he floated from woman to woman, from account to account, draining what he could, smiling through signatures and lies. The path to the kitchen ran right past him. The hostess scanned her book. Any second, she'd walk him in.
He'd see me.
He'd smirk that victory smirk, like dining here proved he'd won while I served. I didn't think. I just moved. I abandoned the complaint on a nearby empty table and slid into the bar's shadow, tucking myself beside a broad-shouldered man in a midnight suit. My fingers, shaking, caught his hand where it rested on the mahogany.
Warm. Solid.
A gold signet ring pressed into my palm. "I'm sorry," I whispered, eyes pinned to the door. "My ex is here. I can't face him. Please, just pretend you know me." The man went still. He didn't pull away. I finally looked. Deep brown eyes met mine, steady as an oath. His face was angles and quiet power, full mouth, clean beard line, a faint scar tracing one eyebrow like a story he didn't tell. He looked a little older, early 40s, maybe, but it read as gravity, not age. Something in his gaze shifted. A decision. "There you are," he said, voice low, smooth as vinyl. "I was wondering when you'd come back." Relief buckled my knees. "Sorry to keep you waiting," I murmured. He angled his body, blocking me from the door sight line, and rested a hand at the small of my back, protective, unhurried. "Is that him?" he breathed against my ear. I nodded. "Recent."
A year.
"Difficult?" My silence was answer enough. "King." Someone called from down the bar, eyes cutting our way. A tall man with a scar along his jaw lifted his chin like a question. "Not now, Reese," the stranger said without looking away from me. The other men shifted, attention retreating, and the air around us recalibrated. These weren't after-work financiers. There was a discipline to them, a radius people instinctively avoided. "Your name," he said softly. "Your real one." "Imani," I whispered. "Imani Brooks." "Imani," he repeated, tasting it like it mattered. "You work here?" I flushed, suddenly aware of the uniform, the cheap pen stuck behind my ear, the exhaustion under my eyes. "You're afraid," he said, just observation. Not only of him, of losing something else. He'd read my overdue notices in the set of my shoulders, the bruise under my concealer, the way I counted breaths and seconds into tips and bus schedules. Darren stood, heading toward the hallway that cut past the bar. "He's coming," I breathed. The stranger lifted 2 fingers. Reese rose from his stool, drifted into Darren's path, accidentally blocking him. Words were exchanged. Darren pivoted toward a different route, confusion on his face. "How?" "Later," the stranger murmured. "What time do you finish?" "Midnight." "I'll wait." "Brooks," my manager barked behind us, forced bravado sharpening his voice. "Table 12's check has waited 10 minutes. "She was assisting me," the stranger replied, tone silken and final. "I asked for her." My manager's mouth snapped shut. "Of course, Mr. Ward. Ms. Brooks, take your time." He retreated like someone had drawn a line he couldn't cross. "Mr. Ward." The name landed like a stone in a still pond. I didn't know it, but my manager did. "You know my boss?" I asked. "I know most people worth knowing in the city," he said, a hint of a half-smile. It didn't reach his eyes. "I really should get back," I managed, pulling away from the shield of his body. My hands had stopped shaking. My heart had not. He slid a card into my palm, cream stock embossed. "Kingston Ward." A number. No title. "If he approaches you, call. Anytime." I tucked it into my apron like a talisman and moved into the whirl again. Plates, glasses, laughter ringing false. Every pass across the room, I felt his gaze. It steadied me and set me on edge, both. Darren ate. Kingston watched. I survived the hours, dollar by dollar, minute by minute. I didn't know then whose hand I'd grabbed, only that it had felt like shore. Close to midnight, the bar had thinned. Kingston and his men disappeared into a private room. I told myself relief should come with that. It didn't. I counted my tips in the break room under flickering fluorescent light, barely enough to cover 2 days of childcare. I changed in the cramped bathroom, tugging on faded jeans and a sweater gone rough from too many washes. The mirror showed a woman whose hope had been sanded down to habit. At the employee exit, my manager pressed an envelope into my hand. "From Mr. Ward," he said, voice careful. "Said you'd need a ride." Before I could protest, Reese appeared, taller in the light, the scar more severe. "Ms. Brooks," he said. "The car's out front. I can take the bus." "It's already gone. I can walk." Mr. Ward was clear. Reese replied, not unkindly. "Let's take you home." The black SUV idled like a shadow. Inside, leather breath luxury. As we pulled away, I opened the envelope.
Cash. Thick.
A note in bold, slanted script. "For the trouble. Get home safe. KW." "Take it back," I said, heat in my throat. "I'm not for sale." Reese's eyes flicked up.
He doesn't buy people. He pays debts.
He protects what's his. I stared at the envelope, then out the window as we left glossy blocks behind for cracked sidewalks and flickering street lamps. Why would he care about my inconvenience? I asked mostly to myself. Reese didn't answer. He didn't have to. When we pulled up to my building, the night pressed cold against my skin. Reese opened my door with a courtesy that felt foreign on my street. "Mr. Ward would appreciate you keeping the envelope," he said softly. "Consider it safety money, not a chain." I hesitated, thinking of rent due, Nia's worn-out shoes, the toothache I'd been ignoring. Pride and practicality wrestled. I settled for a nod that wasn't yes and was a no. Then I saw it, the silver sedan idling across the street. The silhouette I knew even in shadow.
Darren.
Fear scalded my throat. Reese followed my gaze, body angling, one hand ghosting inside his jacket before returning to neutral. "Go upstairs," he said. "Lock your door." "I don't." "I insist," he replied, and the way he said it made refusal sound like a bad idea. I hurried up 4 flights, collected a sleeping Nia from Mrs. Green's couch, thanked her with a smile that felt brittle, and slipped into our apartment. Chain latched, curtains parted. I watched. Reese spoke to Darren.
Leaned in.
Said something I couldn't hear. Darren recoiled.
Fled.
Reese looked up, found my window, and tipped his chin like he knew I'd been holding my breath. The SUV pulled away, taillights vanishing into the city's arteries. I slid to the floor with the envelope in my lap and my heart in my mouth. Sleep came in splinters. I woke to Nia's small hands patting my cheeks and the soft percussion of rain at the glass. "Pancake Saturday," she beamed. "Pancake Saturday," I promised, cracking eggs with fingers that still trembled. The envelope sat on top of the fridge, high and accusatory, like a choice I hadn't made yet. While Nia watched cartoons, I counted the cash. Not a number I'd ever held. Enough to change the month. Enough to breathe. Enough to scare me. My phone buzzed with an unknown number.
"Did you sleep, Imani?"
KW. My chest tightened. He'd gotten my number. Somehow that felt both intrusive and considerate. Another message. "Your ex won't be a problem. Consider it handled." I typed, erased, typed again.
"Thank you."
"I can't accept the money. We'll discuss tonight. 8 p.m., I'll send a car. I have my daughter. Bring her. She'll be safe."
"No."
"Maria can watch her on site. State certified. Glass room. Cameras."
"Please."
Please from a man like him landed like thunder. I stared at Nia's curls bouncing as she drew sunflowers with a stubby crayon. The sane choice was to return the money, block the number, and pray Darren stayed gone. The brave choice was to find out what I'd actually stepped into. "Want to see a magic garden tonight?" I asked, casual as I could. "With butterflies?" Nia asked, eyes wide. "Maybe." At 8 sharp, the black SUV arrived. Reese's knock was soft and sure. Nia raced to the door, sneakers lighting with each step. She peered up through the chain. "Are you a dragon?" Reese's scar tugged into something like a smile. "No dragons tonight, little queen. Maybe ice cream." I strapped Nia's backpack with coloring books and an extra sweater. A small voice in my head screamed I was making a mistake. The quieter one, the one that had kept me alive, whispered, "You're choosing safety." We drove through neighborhoods that didn't know my name. Past iron gates kissed with ivy. Past a guard who checked the car with clinical politeness before we rolled into a world of light and glass. The house rose from the hill like a song in clean lines and warm windows. A woman met us at the door, petite, dark hair in a neat coil, eyes kind. "I'm Maria," she said, voice melodic. "You must be Imani. And this is Nia." "Garden?" Nia breathed. "Right this way," Maria smiled. You can see her the whole time. The entrance hall was a cathedral of quiet, wood, stone, art that felt like it watched without judging. Through a glass wall, a garden glowed with soft, shifting color as if each bloom held a small galaxy. Nia's awe beat a tattoo against my ribs. "You'll be close," Maria promised, gesturing to the glass. "Cameras in each corner. And the door only opens with my card." She flashed the slim badge at her hip. "We take tiny queens seriously." Reese cleared his throat. "Mr. Ward is in the library." The library pulled a gasp from me. 2 stories of books climbed to a carved ceiling, a spiral stair curling like a ribbon of wrought iron. A fire crackled in a stone hearth, its warmth a living thing. He turned from the flames. Kingston Ward in daylight, darker suit, cleaner line, the quiet gravity of a man who'd made too many decisions and carried them all. "Imani," he said, my name a low note. "Thank you for coming." "Your home is beautiful," I managed. "Thank you." He motioned toward 2 leather chairs by the fire. "Water? Tea?"
"Water," I said.
"I need a clear head for Nia." "Wise," he murmured. Up close, I saw a fine scar above his brow, a shadowed weariness at the edges. Human, not myth. "You don't have to be afraid of me," he said. "Not tonight." "I don't know you," I said softly. "But I know enough to know you're not just a businessman." "Kingston," he corrected gently. "And no, only business would bore me. Tonight, I'm a man who wanted to see the woman who surprised him."
"Why?"
He studied me like a painting he was reluctant to leave. "Because you did something nobody does anymore. You reached for me without calculating first. You asked for help like it was your right to be safe." I didn't know what to do with that, so I asked, "What did Reese say to Darren?" Kingston's expression cooled. Enough to make your ex understand that approaching you, or your daughter, again would turn his life inside out. He said it like weather, not threat. He believes him. Will he stay away? Yes, Kingston said, absolute. You're under my protection now. The words landed heavy and strange, comfort and collar. I can't owe you, I blurted. The envelopes, the ride, the warnings. I don't have anything to give back. I didn't ask, he said. I want dinner. Conversation. The truth when you can bear it. As if called, a quiet knock. A butler in slate gray murmured, Dinner is served, sir. He rose, offered his hand. Come, Kingston said, warmth easing the command. Let me feed you somewhere you can see your girl laugh. He didn't take me to the grand table. Instead, a glass-walled terrace faced the luminous garden. Nia's laughter trailed from inside the playroom, bright, unafraid. Maria waved when I looked over. I exhaled. The first course smelled of saffron and the sea, steam curling like gold script. Kingston didn't press. He asked what I read, what music got me through laundry nights, what Nia wanted to be when she grew up, a dentist ballerina. I confessed, and he grinned like it was perfect. For a while, I forgot to brace. Tell me about him, he said finally, setting down his glass. Your ex. I held my breath, then let it out. It wasn't always bad, I began. He was charming.
Smart.
Then the job got rough, the bottle got closer, I got small. The first time he hit me, he cried. The third time I apologized. I laughed without humor. He broke my wrist when I ran. Said if I took Nia, he'd take me apart. Kingston's jaw flexed. He reached, brushed his thumb feather-light over the fading bruise I hadn't hidden well enough. This will not happen again, he said, voice quiet and terrifying. Not while I breathe.
Why?
I whispered. Because somebody should have stood up for you a long time ago, he said. I can. Who are you really? I asked, the question that hovered like a storm. He didn't flinch. You've already guessed. I have. The words tasted strange. You move in rooms that don't welcome sunlight. His hands folded, elegant, steady. I've done things I won't lay at your feet. I also built legitimate things, hotels, kitchens, jobs. I've tried to balance the ledger. Does it matter? He asked softer. In this moment, before I could answer, small feet pounded. Nia burst onto the terrace, eyes shining. Mommy. The flowers change colors when I touch. And the teddy says good night in 5 languages. She slowed when she saw Kingston. He knelt without hesitation, bringing himself level with a 4-year-old world. Hi, Nia. I'm king. Her head tilted. Are you a real king? He laughed, the sound warm enough to melt glass. Only of boring paperwork. Maria appeared, breathless but smiling. We're practicing gentle goodnights. Nia yawned ferociously, then leaned into me. Can we come back tomorrow? She mumbled. Kingston met my eyes like a question he wouldn't force. You're always welcome, he told Nia, solemn as a vow. After Maria led her back to wash tiny hands, Kingston's gaze followed them. She's extraordinary, he said. Like her mother. The compliment settled in a place inside me I hadn't visited in years. On the way to the door, I noticed a subtle hitch in his stride, a ghost of a limp he masked well. More human. More dangerous. I'd like to see you again, he said in the entry's warm light, voice pitched low for me alone. No debts. No angles. Just you. Yes, I heard myself answer, honest and reckless. He placed a small velvet box in my palm. Nothing extravagant, he promised. A token. 4 new doors. At home, with Nia asleep, I opened it. A slim silver bracelet. 1 charm. A tiny key. A card. For beginnings. KW. I fastened it to my wrist. It felt like choosing. 3 months slid by in careful increments. Text messages that felt like touch. Dinners that felt like truce. Laughter that felt like healing. I still worked at La Maison, now tucked into private rooms where the tips were kinder and the hours bent for me. Darren vanished to another coast. My lawyer, unexpectedly paid in full, reported filings dropped. Is King your boyfriend? Nia asked one morning as I braided her hair. It's complicated, I said. That means yes later, she declared, wise as rain. Maybe, I thought, fingers pausing over the tiny key. Maybe later. Maybe soon. Maybe never, if the shadows didn't let him go. A black envelope waited at my door, my name inked in that sure, slanted hand. I unfolded thick cream paper. I'm back early. We need to talk. Reese will come at 7, unless you prefer Maria at your place with Nia. KW. The formal tone curdled my stomach. We need to talk never meant balloons. I asked Mrs. Green to watch Nia anyway. Whatever this was, I didn't want my daughter in the room with it. At 7 sharp, the SUV slid to the curb, but Kingston stepped out himself, charcoal suit the color of storm clouds. My heart stumbled. I wasn't expecting you, I said. I wanted to see you as soon as I could, he replied, eyes scanning my face like he was memorizing it. You look beautiful, Imani. The ride out of the city skirted the coastline. We pulled up to a low, modern house perched on a cliff, as if it had been carved by wind. Inside, a fire burned, soft and steady. This was my mother's favorite place, he said, looking out at the black water. I come when I need to remember. He poured wine, didn't drink. Turned fully toward me. These months have changed me, he said. You have. The air tightened, like the sky before lightning. I braced and breathed. I kept pieces of my life from you, he admitted. Not to lie, just to pretend I could be simple for you. I already know what you are, I said. Enough to be scared. Enough to stay. His surprise flickered, then softened. He took my hands. I'm leaving it, he said. The dark parts. I've been unwinding things for a year. Handing over what can be handed. Shutting what must be shut. Why? Because I'm tired of counting exits, he said. Because I think about you and Nia in places with sun. Because I want to take you to dinner without men posted at doors. His mouth quirked. Because I want a life I thought I'd forfeited. Can you really get out? It's almost done, he said. There were warnings last week. I'm not hurt, but it made the timeline urgent. He slid a tiny box across the table. Not an engagement, he said. A promise. Inside, a sapphire winked, deep as ocean. My grandmother's, he murmured. She said to give it to a woman who is brave. Are you asking me to wait? I asked, voice unsteady. To trust me, he said. 2, maybe 3 months. Then we choose or somewhere. Italy. New Orleans. A porch with wind chimes. Anywhere you'll feel free. Hope rose, wild and terrifying. I'm afraid, I confessed. Not of you, of believing. I won't promise easy, he said. I'll promise honest. He slipped the ring onto my right hand. A beginning. He kissed me then, steady, reverent, certain. Months of caution burned down to something bright and clean. When we broke apart, the windows held our reflections and a scatter of stars. Let me drive you home, he said. We'll go over measures. Quiet phones. Safe places. Rules for now. I nodded. In the car, he outlined a plan. Men watching the block without being seen, a code for my door, a number to call that bypassed everything else. It was a lot. It felt like care. Back at my building, he walked me to the door, kissed me once more with a hunger he bracketed carefully. 2 months, he murmured against my mouth. Then a lifetime, if you want it. I want it, I said, meaning it so hard it hurt. After he left, I stared at the sapphire, at the key on my wrist, at the little apartment that had been a lifeboat. A knock broke the quiet. I opened without checking, stupid, and Darren shoved inside, stink of whiskey first, jealousy second. So it's true, he sneered. You climbed into the mob's lap. Fear flared. Anger smothered it. Get out, I said. He grabbed my wrist, twisting hard enough to spark old pain. You think I don't see his men? I waited till they blinked. Had to see what kind of mother sells her soul. I remembered Reese's lessons, sharp, simple. I rotated my arm, broke his grip, stepped back. I'm not afraid of you anymore. You should be. He lunged. The door blew open. Reese filled the frame, another man at his shoulder. Calm as Sunday, dangerous as a storm. "Mr. Brooks," Reese said, voice mild. "You're trespassing." Darren blustered, sputtered about rights and softness, and rumors of King stepping down. Reese's eyes didn't change, but the room cooled. "For your daughter's sake, leave," he said. "There won't be a second warning." Something in Darren sagged. He spat a final nothing and slunk out. "Mr. Ward is on his way," Reese told me, leaving his partner at the door while he shadowed Darren's retreat. Kingston arrived with a fury he kept caged behind his eyes. His hands moved over my shoulders, my face, checking. "I'm okay," I said. "I handled it." He listened to Reese's report. "Then we move now," he decided. "Tonight."
My job.
"Our things. Essentials," he said gently. "Everything else can be replaced. You cannot." An hour later, Nia sleepy on his shoulder, my palm in his, we stepped into the night. "I will keep you safe," Kingston said, voice a vow. "I believe you," I answered, because for the first time in years, hope felt heavier than fear. Thank you for watching. Please like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories like this.